Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome all of you. I guess there will be some joining later. And let me introduce myself first. My name is Cherry, and I'm from Fastlink Group, and I'll be the moderator of today's webinar. Yeah, and I hope today will be a chance for you to reimagine how company could do things often from the ground up and learn to become a human-led and tech-powered network. Yeah. And since the onset of the pandemic, business all over the world have pivoted to the digital with unprecedented speed. For example, you may already introduce AI or cloud computing to enhance your company workflow, or it might redesign its supply chain to make better use of machine learning. Though each of us or our organization journeys will be unique, all of us will require a new mindset. Yeah. And before we start, let me introduce the speakers today. And we are honored to have Alex, Marcus, and Crystal. Yeah. And Alex is responsible for the strategic development of Fastlink, and he is a fellow member of CPA Australia and has over 20 years of professional finance and accounting, corporate finance, and investment experience in financial service and asset management companies. And he held a regional CFO and COO in a number of global financial institutions, including Deutsche Bank, Bank of America. And Marcus is the Hong Kong Partnership Manager at Airwallex, leading the company go-to-market strategy and of partnership initiative. Prior to Airwallex, Marcus was also a founding and early member of startups including Atom, Crypto, and Purplebox. And Crystal is the head of partnership at Snipflow, developing sales, content, and technology partnership across Asia, Europe, and North America. As one of the earliest team members at Snipflow, she has held many roles across sales, marketing, products, and have very deep understanding of the emerging trend in the retail and e-commerce space to help business leverage the rise of social e-commerce in this digital age. And we can see of all three of them, the background is very strong, and I believe that it will be very powerful and convincing enough to share with you how they see the digital transformation and how the company is reaping by using it. Yes, and now I will pass the time to Alex to share with you how the trend of digital-first economy has increased people's intention to start a business and how cloud accounting software take over traditional accounting.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, depending where you are. I'm Alex. I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to share with you some of the insights or some of the experience that I have in the past couple of years when we are under this pandemic period and how we actually deliver our service through digital tools and how I see the trend going forward. Okay, so today's topic is really about deliver business value, right, to the market through the digital. So, and for us, for Fastlink, we are a corporate services and accounting firm. So we really deliver services through cloud solutions. And I would like to share about this cloud accounting and how we use this to help company to run a more efficient business, more effective businesses. Okay, so you can just Google it up. We are a corporate accounting firm. We founded in 2013 with a team of accountants and corporate service team to help to do various services like company formation, payroll, accounting, audit, and taxation. Okay, so I think it's really we want to understand this digital and how this actually affecting us. I think it's very important that we say there's a 4 R's. The rise of the use of digital devices. I mean, it's really you need to have the tools to really enable using the computing power, like we experienced in the last couple of years, a lot of home working, remote working, work from home. I think it's essential that we have the digital advisors, easily available to the staff, to the customer, to client, so that people can transact and interact, through this digital method. And I think also for social media, right? So it's not new things. I mean, everybody's using one way or the other, like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, a lot of channel for people to really understand and get experience using social media, either to promote themselves, to share their view. It's very active. I mean, social media is very active way to engage your client, to engage the market that you're actually serving. Digital technologies. Yeah, there's a lot of tools. Actually, with the tools, other than the devices, the hardware is the technology. The technology is the software. So we need the hardware and software in order to really enjoy this digital first economy. So the tools, the software, it could be marketing software, it could be sales software. So there's a CRM, a payment software, payment tools, even accounting tools, right? So really, how we use this technology to run our business more efficiently, I think it's very important. And I think, and the other thing is the rise of e-commerce. So people now, they can do business with you without really actually seeing going to the shop, and they can do e-commerce. So basically, you operate in a digital environment, and by having the digital devices, having the right technologies, and with the support of the social media, and this fallout actually enable a digital first economy. So we have this fallout ready now. It's available to everyone to use them and to operate as digital services. Now, since I'm coming from more the accounting background, or how we actually make use of the cloud solutions to operate a business, to run a business, I think there are basically four steps. So first of all, you need a company. So you need a company up and running, right? So people actually can set up a company online, right? So you can either go to, in the context of Hong Kong, you can actually go to the company registry, the Hong Kong government, right? You can actually literally, fill in the online form, and then apply for the company incorporations. Or you may want to find some professional to help you out, because other than filling form, there are things that you need to know about the company structure, about the shareholder agreement, the other things that you need to know, right? So, but you can basically start your company online. You can actually do it, or you work with service provider. Actually, we can work with you also online, right? Now, once you have the company up and running, right, then you need to really observe about the payroll, the HR. You need to hire people, right? So there are payroll software that you can use, making sure that, hey, look, every month the payroll, the salary calculation is accurate. You have the e-payslip, right? So your staff actually can log into the system to look at the payslip, right? They can look at the breakdown, the payment. And also you can use the payroll system to apply leave, right? So you say, okay, I want to have annual leave. So you apply it, and then your senior or your supervisor can approve the leave application. So everything's online, right? So I think it's important. And also when you talk about recruitment, people making use of online platform, right? There are a lot of online recruitment platforms actually you can use, and you can conduct interview through online. So this is all the digital, I would say, the technology, the software, Zoom, Team, which is really enable us to use digital approach. Now, after you have this payroll, you're hiring people, you start operate, then you need accounting. You need really to record your financial transactions. You need to make sure that you understand your income, your revenue, your expenses. You want to record it so that you know that, hey, look, every month, am I making money? Do I have enough cash to pay for my staff, to pay for the marketing expenses. So you really need the tools, like what I talked about is payroll tools before, and then we have the accounting tools. I will talk about a little bit more about these accounting tools and how you can make use of it and to run the business. Really about making sure that you have the right information to run the business, have the financial information. And then lastly, but not the least, is that you have the accounting information, you have the books, you have the records, but then you need to file your tax reports. You need to have an auditor like us, or maybe also an audit firm, so we can help you to prepare the audit financial statement, and then we look at the tax positions and we give you a bit of advice in terms of how you optimize your tax situation, and then you deal with the tax office, the Inland Revenue Department in Hong Kong. So basically, so these are even for the filing of the tax, and Hong Kong is a bit lag behind, to be honest. You still need to have the wet signature. When you finish the audit, you submit something, you still need to sign it and then hand deliver to the department. I think in Hong Kong, in that sense, we are lagging behind. But in other countries, like let's say in UK, in Australia, in New Zealand, they all enable this e-filing. I mean, we do have e-filing in Hong Kong, but it's not really integrated. It's really like you email something over, but it's not like the fully integrated sort of filing. Okay, so these are the basic things that when you run the business, these are the steps that you need to consider. Now, so for accounting cycle, I want to talk about a bit more on accounting. I think the idea is really like, okay, I have the business now. Okay, what do I need to do? I mean, in terms of accounting. Yes, I mentioned about earlier is, okay, first of all, you need to have, the records. You need to input the records. You need to make sure that what are the information that you need to prepare your bookkeeping, your records. Say, for example, I provide a service to the client. I need to bill them. I need to send an invoice to them. So I need to have the invoice. I need to have a description. I need to have amounts, right? And then I need to input in the systems. Yeah. And then I need to making sure that it's in order. And then I do the reconciliations. I check everything's there. It's not, then I need to make adjustment. And so this is a whole sort of like cycle. You calculate, you adjust, and then you prepare the trial balance, and then you create a financial statement. So it's a bit of accounting jargon here, but at the end of the day, you need raw data. You need your financial data, and then you process them, and then you prepare the financial statement. I think it's also important that the financial transaction, including your banking transactions, you're also including those payment transactions. Let's say you're using air wallets, to pay for certain fees. Then you're making sure that, hey, you also capture those air wallets transaction in your books, so that you know that, hey, where you send the money, or when you receive money, yeah, you need to identify who actually paying for you, right? So I think it's very important that you have this information. And I think, in this context of digital environment, now how you actually work with different parties actually can help you to operate efficiently, and how the data actually flowing between one system to the other to improve the efficiency, I think is very important. And I'm sure like Marcus will also explain it later today about the payment solutions, and also Crystal definitely will also share about the solution, how you actually integrate in terms of your business process. I think so these are, I talk about the stages, right? But then there are problems. I mean, there are always issues how to resolve, how to actually move forward. I think one thing is really about lacking of the business visibility, meaning that, hey, you got things actually are outdated. It's very hard to update. So you want to have real-time information. You log in, you look at the information is there, right? So I think it's very important the cloud solution or technology is that you can log in, you can see the status. You don't have to send an email and wait for someone, or you call someone to get an answer. So you want to have real-time access to information, right? Like the financial record. If you're using a cloud accounting software, I would say definitely the benefit is you can log in and you can see exactly what's going on, like who actually not paying you. Now that leads to the other point, which is the late payment from customers. You want to know who actually not paying you easily. You don't need to like ask your accountant, or you need to send an email, just to find out like, when that person actually paying you. You can actually see from the systems when, that person or that company actually paying you, whether they pay you and when they pay you, right? So I think it's very important to understand the payment situation and in the context of cash flow management, right? So that is the, money coming in. You want to make sure that you have a way to see who is not paying you. Now, the other thing is the third point, which is staying on top of bills, which is the money that you need to settle. You want to make sure that you don't miss the payment, you incur extra penalty, right? You want to make sure that, hey, look, you have sufficient cash to stay in the business. I would say a lot of company, whether big or small, they go out of business not because of they are not profitable, because not that they have client. It's simply because they don't have enough cash to pay for the suppliers. They don't have cash to pay for the staff. They don't have enough cash to pay for the rents. So it's not about whether the company is making profit. It's whether the company have sufficient cash to settle their financial obligations. So it's very important that you manage the payment from the customer, but also how you manage your payments as well, right? I think the last part is too much paper. Yes, the world actually transformed. We have a lot of, don't talk about these devices and technology, but I would say it's still a lot of papers. It's just so much of papers. And I think there's a lot that can be done paperless, right? Let's say if I make a payment through Air Wallets, can that transaction actually go directly into my accounting system? Then I don't have to do anything. I don't have to get the invoice or get the receipt and ask my accountant to book. I think now it's still very sort of cumbersome. You need a lot of papers. And you know what? Some of the payments, some of the receipt, actually they will fade away. Right? You purchase it and then you want to submit the reimbursement, the claim, right? And they will fade away after a month, the most, and they were just gone, right? So how we resolve that? How we resolve that? Now, as a Xero partner, we obviously like Xero a lot. We are the platinum partner. We use it since 2013. It's a really good accounting software, but you don't have to use it. I mean, as an example, we really like it. We use it. We recommend our client to use it. Yes, so you can consider that is one of the solutions that you can use in terms of understanding of working capital, right? I mentioned about, business actually went bankrupt, not because of they don't make profit. It's simply because they don't have enough capital to serve the financial application. So you need to make sure that you have enough working capital. You want to save time. You want to automate the bank reconciliations. You want to automate the invoice reminders. You want to make sure that you can collect the payment quicker and faster. So you need to consider using like a cloud accounting solution for that, right? And then you can look at different kinds of reports, like your cash flow report, your aging report. So yeah, so I think this is just a very brief sort of touch on when you guys, up running a company, there are certain things that you need to do. You're setting up companies and you start hiring people. You have transactions, and how you make use of a cloud accounting software to help you make better, better decisions, stay on top of your invoices and stay afloat. Make sure that you don't get into your technical problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, accounting is really important stage for a business as everything has to go through it. And cloud accounting is really a new era solution to the pain point you have mentioned just now, Alex. And it's really save a lot of efforts and take you off to focus on other business strategy. And accounting is recording, summarizing business and financial transaction. But indeed, we have to think, where did the number, money, and the amount come from? And indeed, it boils down to a business account. A business account could help you to manage manage well the money flow of the company. So I will now give the time to Marcus to talk about what is a digital business account and how they can be used as an alternative to traditional bank. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Cherry. And thank you, Alex, for your presentation. I think you've actually covered the main points that I want to talk about. So I think we can just pass it to Crystal. Just kidding. Let me just share my slides. Here we go. Okay, so I think many of us have already heard of the term digitization or digital transformation, and I think the first impression is that it's quite intimidating. Sometimes it requires you to implement a lot of ERP, implement like systems, and incorporating that into your operations. But I think today what I wanted to share is you can actually help your business achieve digitization with something as simple as a business account. And before we start, just a very quick introduction. I think Cherry has already introduced me, but I previously was with a couple of other fintech startups, including like invoice financing, buy now, pay later. So I've been in the space for, I think, 5 years now in the fintech space. And just outside of work, I quite enjoy music production. I play the keyboard myself, and golfing. So I've done golfing since I was 6. But now I'm doing it less because friends around me aren't really into golfing. But I'm picking it up because I just found a colleague who's also quite into golfing. So that's great. Now going to the main topic of today, fintech and payments and business accounts. So I guess there's no better way to kind of deliver this than sharing why Airworks was founded, and our purpose and our mission. So one thing I think we all agree on is that businesses nowadays, especially after the pandemic, they've got their eyes set on the global scene. So whether it be a newly established company, most of the time they're no longer targeting customers within their local regions, and instead they're eyeing customers from overseas for higher commercial opportunities. So and this does not only include customers, but it also involves different suppliers who might be across the world, in terms of the software that you're using. For example, Xero. So the software that you're using on a daily basis, they might also be provided by vendors overseas. And lastly, the staff that you employ might not necessarily be based in the same region as you anymore. So we're seeing more businesses hiring freelancers, using contractors to perform certain functions of the business. For example, let's say copywriting and market research. So what this means for businesses nowadays is that they actually need a different way to manage their global and local finances, because I think many of us, when we think of bank accounts, it's just a means for us to receive money and send money, but it's actually a very core part of the business. And there are a lot of opportunities where you can optimize costs and leverage data to make better business decisions, and which we'll cover more of in later parts. But just a very quick introduction of Airworks as a company. We were founded in 2015 in Australia. And fast forward 7 years, we're quite fortunate to have received the support from some quite well well-known organizations and financial institutions like ANZ, Sequoia, MasterCard, Tencent, and with businesses going global, that allowed us to expand our teams and markets coverage quite quickly. So we have around 1,200 staff across 19 different offices. And along our journey, we're also very honored to have partners like Fastlane and Sleekflow to grow together with us in Hong Kong. We're also partners of Xero, along with a group of other SME and e-commerce ecosystem providers. And on the right, you'll see just a few examples of the clients that we're working with. So not only the newly established companies, but also enterprises who have different markets and offices around the globe. Right. And I guess we can begin by showing everyone a quick snapshot, a quick overview of what a digital account can offer. So we aim to become the go-to business account for all SMEs and businesses. So from collecting money through different local bank accounts, through online payments, let's say if your clients, they prefer to pay with a credit card, you can collect those online payments through Airwallex as well. And once those funds have been collected, you can very easily manage and store currencies within your account. And then lastly, let's say if you want to pay for a staff's salary, you want to pay your suppliers overseas, you can also do so. And for any online expenses like Xero, for example, Sleekflow, you can also pay with corporate cards. So in terms of day-to-day operation, a digital account gives you more flexibility to manage these payments in one single platform and at a cheaper cost. And now we can talk about like the challenges faced by SMEs nowadays, emerging from the pandemic. So these are some common challenges that we've observed. The first being, there's obviously still a difficulty in accessing bank accounts. So, banks, traditional banks, especially in Hong Kong, they are not known to be the most welcoming, especially for new businesses. So a lot of the times they will require the director or shareholder of the company to actually fly over to Hong Kong just to submit their documents and have a face-to-face interview. So we get a lot of inquiries from customers who share this frustration. And the second challenge being that they are experiencing rising costs, mainly due to the currency fluctuations. So, we hear all the news about, Japanese yen is going down and, euros are going down, which is great if let's say you're traveling to those countries, right? But let's say if you're running a business and you need to collect these different types of currencies from your customers, having been forced to convert those foreign currencies into Hong Kong dollars at your Hong Kong bank can actually ramp up on cost quite a lot. And it becomes a lot more difficult to manage your risks. And lastly, it's about managing expansion. So for the more fortunate businesses that are actually looking into expanding into a new market, it's also becoming less less easy to do so because of the work that it takes to set up their business and business accounts in those countries. And as a company, prior to the founding of Airwallex, we actually experienced all these issues firsthand. So actually, our founders before they founded Airwallex, they had a coffee shop in Melbourne, which is still operating to this day. It's called Tuck & Co. As you can see here, a picture of the shop. And on the left is one of our co-founders, Max, just casually brewing a latte while looking at the camera. So when they started this coffee shop, there were a lot of procurement work from overseas to purchase coffee machines and coffee beans. And to a newly established company, cost management is critical, right? Because you're not making a lot of money. There's not a lot of money coming in, but you have to pay money to your suppliers. So the bank fees and all the foreign exchange fees are just not very favorable for these startups and SMEs in general. And that's why Airwallex was founded. So what we're doing right now is building a global financial infrastructure, partner with banks and financial institutions around the world. So by working with these banks and breaking down the barriers between banks, we're able to offer a much more comprehensive set of financial services for SMEs, which I'll explain more in details in the later slides. And so in terms of how we can actually support businesses in terms of lowering cost and going digital is by thinking about your business account. The bank account that you have right now, it works fine. Like you can receive money, you can send money out, but sometimes it's quite surprising to me when businesses, they don't expect more of their bank accounts. So I hear a lot of complaints about customer service, the online banking doesn't really work, and we are seeing improvements, I guess, slowly from the banks in terms of their service level. But what about if you want to set up a foreign bank account? Let's say you expand to Singapore. What can your bank do for you? And let's say you want to provide additional access for, let's say, your colleague working in the admin department or finance department to get access to your account to view your transactions. Is there a way to do that? Can you very easily set up a new card holder to enable your employees to very quickly get access to corporate cards? So these are some of the questions that I think maybe you have in mind, maybe you've come across. But the conclusion, I think, is that the old way of managing money is not enough, especially for businesses that are operating on a global scale. So with the kind of financial infrastructure that I just briefly described, what we can do is eliminate all the hours that you take in flights just to visit a branch at a bank. So with one business account, you can get access to local bank accounts in 9 different locations. So you can receive money like a local. And this second point is especially important for those who do business or they have suppliers and customers in different regions. So if you are forced to only keep Hong Kong dollars in your bank account, you cannot choose when to actually convert your currencies. So let's say you are receiving US dollars from your customers. If you only have a Hong Kong dollar bank account, that transaction will then be forced to convert US dollars into Hong Kong dollars. And then let's say you want to pay your suppliers and you pay in US dollars, you then have to do another conversion to US dollars to pay your supplier. So having different currency accounts, for example, like a multi-currency account, will really help you in terms of managing currency volatility. And on corporate cards, I know a lot of business owners, they still use their personal cards to make business expenses. So this is a very quick and easy way, first of all, to help them transition from making purchases using their personal cards to making those purchases under their company's name. So it's much easier in terms of bookkeeping. They don't need to separate which transactions are personal, which ones are on a company level. And you can also create different virtual cards, which are dedicated to a particular purpose. So for example, you set one card up for your online marketing expenses. You can set a card up for your subscriptions. For example, paying your your Zero or your Sleekflow subscription fees. So it allows for much easier management of your expenses. And second point about the cards is that there are no international card fees. So with a lot of the existing cards and corporate cards in the market, there's usually a hidden fee that you only find if you look at your credit card statement. So you will see that if you're paying in US dollars, the currency conversion rate is actually very expensive because there's a around a 2 to 3% markup included. So this is another very easy, quick fix and quick way for you to lower cost, especially in the long run. And lastly, in terms of quality of life, with business accounts, there are also integrations available with, let's say, Xero, NetSuite, that allows you to synchronize all the transactions happening in your Airwallex account to these accounting platforms. And let's say, for example, for Xero, well, all the transactions are synced every hour. And QuickBooks will be coming soon as well. And let's say you want to involve your finance department, your admin department into managing the account, you can also very easily set up and provide additional access for your colleagues. And for businesses that have multiple entities, you can also link different Airwallex accounts within the same interface. So you can easily toggle between different companies and manage your finances this way. So about how exactly do Airwallex or other fintechs help achieve this? So for us, we have taken a different approach to the traditional banking network, where let's say if you want to make a payment from your Hong Kong bank account to your supplier in the US, with the traditional way is that the bank will then communicate with intermediary banks. And this process is necessary because not every bank has a bank account with one another. So intermediary banks will then come in and help facilitate those transfers. And with so many different stakeholders involved, naturally there will be additional cost incurred. So for example, if you want to make a SWIFT transfer, usually costs between 15 to up to 70 US dollars per transaction. And it takes around 2 to 5 days just for the recipient to receive the funds. But with Airwallex, we have built a network and an infrastructure of financial institutions and banks, including Standard Chartered Bank, DBS, ANZ. So with all these banks on one platform, what we can do in this scenario is that if you, same situation, you want to pay to the US, we can directly instruct our local banking partner in the US to make a local payment to the recipient. So in some way, it bypasses the whole SWIFT system, and the money doesn't actually travel across borders. And what this means is transactions are free if you execute them this way, and the flight time is also much shorter because the payments are made locally. And with the same logic, we are also able to provide access to local banking accounts. So with our different local banking partners, for example, in Singapore, we're working with DBS. In the US, we're working with the Communities Federal Savings Bank, and in Hong Kong, Standard Chartered Bank, Hong Kong. So you set up your account, which is a one-time process, and then you can thereafter create these local accounts immediately, and you can get access to local banking details, put them on an invoice, send over to your customers so they can pay you locally. Yeah, so we're approaching the end of the presentation. So just one thing about security, because I'm sure a lot of us will have questions around security and safety of funds. So for us, Airwallex, we are actually regulated and licensed across 9 different jurisdictions. So for Hong Kong, we are licensed by the Hong Kong Customs and Excise Department. We have a MSO license. In Singapore, we are licensed by the MAS, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, as a major payments institution. So our clients' funds, they're kept separate to our operating funds, and they can never be lent or invested by anyone. So customer funds, they are safe at the banks. And we also have a lot of other certifications that prove that we are keeping our customers' data safe and secure. Right. So in terms of, lastly, in terms of the experience at Airwallex, so we guarantee there will be no face-to-face interviews required. So you don't have to fly to Hong Kong. You could be from anywhere in the world, and you can submit your documents online for free. And we don't only serve Hong Kong businesses, but also companies registered in over 50 different jurisdictions. So including BVI, Cayman Islands, Seychelles companies, Singapore companies, like you name it. Because we understand that businesses are not just operating in Hong Kong or any particular location, but business is happening worldwide. And of course, if you decide to open an account through our partner Fastlane, your application will also be prioritized, and you'll get a welcome offer on foreign exchange. So, and approval usually takes around 5 days, and after that, you can instantly create those global accounts that I mentioned, and you can issue corporate cards. You can use all the features in your Airwallex account, and there are no minimum deposit required and no monthly maintenance fees. And after that, there will also be a dedicated account manager to help assist with any inquiries, any questions you have about the accounts, to ensure that you're having a smooth experience with us. So, and this is a very quick introduction of Airwallex and business accounts. Thank you. Yeah. Any questions, feel free to drop me a message. I'll just save my contact. The QR code is my WhatsApp in case you want to reach out to me. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Back to you, Cherry.
Thank you, Marcus. I think the existence of Airwallex really helps a lot to SME, as it's made opening a business account much easier and greatly simplify the opening process by using fintech. Yet, not only the back-end elements or support like accounting or business accounts are very important to business, but also the front-end support like sales process, system, and customer service. Yes, those front-end support or elements will directly affect the sales figure and thus the revenue. So that's why we will have Crystal now and to speak on how Slipflow would further strengthen the social e-commerce ecosystem and help the business to break through the sales limits. Yeah.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal from Slipflow. Let me just kind of get the screen up and running. Hold on for a bit. Right. So kind of before I start, I kind of actually really want to know what kind of industries everyone's coming from. Would it be okay if you guys give us a quick type to let us know what kind of businesses you guys are running, so I can kind of tailor the conversation a little bit? While you guys get to that, let me just kind of get started for a little first. So we're from Slipflow. We're actually a social commerce platform. We're actually funded by Tiger Global as well as Alibaba. We're a Hong Kong-based company, but we've expanded all over the world now. So we actually started in Hong Kong and we expanded to Singapore, Malaysia last year. We went to the UK earlier this year. And actually now we are in Brazil as well. And we're going to Indonesia next month. And then there are more on our cards, but I'll keep that secret for now. So for us, we actually work with retail across many different industries, as well as education, financial, beauty and wellness, and many other brands that I'm quite sure you might recognize from here. So yeah, moving forward, what we actually do omni-channel messaging. So I think we all know, right, with the pandemic, everyone's staying home, everyone wants to WhatsApp someone, or maybe we actually put down orders on Instagram, we start shopping on Facebook shops and stuff like that. So what we do is we combine all your messaging channels together into a single platform. So for all those in the retail industry, I think this is something that'd be really useful. Or if not, we actually have other use cases for other things as well. For example, for banks, for services, for tuition centers, we have all that as well. So as I mentioned earlier, we actually are a omni-channel mobile app. So what you see on like the right-hand side is actually a normal WhatsApp conversation, but what you see on the left-hand side is Stickflow app itself. So multiple people can actually just download the Stickflow app and use it to talk to customers instead of downloading personal WhatsApps. So you don't have to you can have good segmentation between your personal life and your work life. So all your work chats can just be on Stickflow, and then all your personal WhatsApp chats can stay on WhatsApp. Next, so we actually have different WABA accounts. So what you usually use is a personal WhatsApp account on the left-hand side. In the center, if you use a WhatsApp business app, what you see is in the center where people can block you, or your phone number is shown with your area code in front. But if you have a WABA account, which is an WhatsApp official API account, we actually can get verified. You can get screen tick. We also show that it's a business account, and people don't have to save your phone number to actually have your company name to appear. So the moment you text them or they text you, they exactly know who they're talking to. So I think this is very important in this day and age where scams are very commonplace. So this actually gives a layer of variability. Next, we also have chatbots. So as you can see on the left-hand side, we can actually have buttons. You can program buttons on WhatsApp itself. You can actually send your delivery options, delivery orders. If they want to reschedule or anything else, you can actually have a drop-down list within WhatsApp itself. So this is something that's not available on a normal WhatsApp app, nor the WhatsApp business app. So we just want to mention that we're actually really heavily focused on commerce and retail. So with that, we actually have been able to roll out this item, which is actually to be able to pay within WhatsApp itself. So in Stickflow, you can actually pull out a catalog, select some items, generate a payment link, and send the payment link out, and then your customer can just click on the link and pay immediately without having to log on their desktop or without having to bounce out to many different pages and stuff like that. So this not only works for products, but it also works for services. So for example, if a hospital would like to kind of have a follow-up package, or or beauty wellness centers would like to have a facial, or they want to sell tuition packages, that all can be done on WhatsApp as well, through the conversation within the conversation itself. Apart from that, on our desktop app, we're actually able to integrate with Shopify. We're able to integrate with any other e-commerce sites as well. And with that, we're actually able to kind of pull out information, for example, on order details, and see it all within the same screen. So you don't need to keep toggling between the chatting app as well as maybe Shopify itself. On Stickflow itself, you will have the conversation on the left and all the order details on your right, all on the same screen. So it helps greatly for customer service. It helps a lot when you're trying to sell them a product as well. So we have many different automation scenarios. We actually also connect with many different messaging channels as well. So you can see here, we actually connect with Facebook, SMS, live chat, Viber, Telegram, WeChat, Instagram, Messenger, Line even. And yeah, so I think with this, we can show the possibility that we have. We can actually connect, and you can automate lots of different things. For example, we can automate a welcome message. We can automate routing. So if someone was to message in to the Stickflow WhatsApp number and say, "Hi, Crystal," so it can automatically recognize Crystal and send the message to me. So I will then own the conversation moving forward. Or if you like, we can actually send it all to your sales team. So if they don't really have a very clear keyword to target, so maybe they say, "Hi, I'd like to inquire about your service." So you can actually send this whole conversation to your sales team and route it by ABC, 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 round robin system. Yeah. Next, we can actually do more and actually segment your customers. So we can also add links, we can add tags, and we can help you send out actually targeted broadcast messages. So for example, if Florence, added a brush palette, to a cart and checked out. So maybe next time you can send her, "Hey, there's a top up for your blusher. Would you like to actually purchase it today?" So it can be, "Hey, Florence, there's a top up for your blusher at 15% off. Check out today." Stuff like that. So promo code can be entered in, name can be entered in, everything done automatically. Next, I think this would be very helpful. So in Hong Kong and maybe the rest of the world as well, usually when there's a Facebook post that goes up and then they're selling something, people always say +1 or DM or price please, stuff like that. So what we can do is we can actually recognize all the conversations and recognize these keywords and straight away send them a DM without you having to interfere with it at all. So the moment they say +1, we can straight away send them and say, "Hey, here's the pricing that you requested for," or "Hey, here's the order list, here's the payment link." All these kind of things can be automated immediately. Next, we also have a live chat they can put on your website. So we actually track exactly which page they're looking at, which page have they looked at, how long have they visited the site for, how many times have they even visited the site for. So all these we would know, which would then help you to re-engage with customers better. Next, we also have analytics. So just now when I mentioned payment links, we can actually track how many people actually sent out payment links, how many of our salespeople used that feature, how many they actually converted. So this helps in calculating our commissions as well as tracking performance as well. So this is actually how one of our clients in Hong Kong uses it. So we actually work with YouthML Arvin. They actually use a membership portal on WhatsApp. So they broadcast messages. They also, every time someone buys something, they also send a WhatsApp with the updated membership point count. And we actually give them like customer support for the premium customers. So we actually have them acquired more than 60,000 new members through this. Next one, the desserts. So this one is actually one of Hong Kong patisseries. So what they do is they actually see the green tick they have here, and they actually send out payment links so people can buy their cakes and their treats on WhatsApp itself. For Bossini, because earlier on in Hong Kong, we had this consumption voucher tool. So what they did was we actually sent out, help Bossini, worked with them on sending out broadcast messages to their client base. And we actually sent them this image on this right-hand side here. And they could actually bring this image to the store to redeem the voucher. Now, why did Bossini do this? Because they were trying to link O to O, the offline to online. They wanted to also track how successful this campaign would be. So they actually tracked in-store redemptions of this voucher. And it actually had a very high open rate, 80% of open rate, something that we actually won't be able to see on emails or EDMs, because usually it goes to spam, it goes to junk. But for now, WhatsApp doesn't have a junk inbox yet. So this is a very, very helpful tool. So we actually have many different customers that use us, like Chow Tai Fook, Lalamove, as well as Akumon. So Stickflow actually serves many different industries with this as well. Thank you. That's all I have for today.
Thank you, Crystal. Get to know more about how Stickflow works, as is, I think, is quite beneficial to different industry. And I can see there is a participant is having an IG shop. I think it's quite beneficial to her, and especially for e-commerce and retail, as I think the owner could have a centralized place to manage all the conversation and orders. Otherwise, I think it would be quite messy and difficult to handle and track those things. And after listening, you guys sharing, I think the audience may have something would like to learn more about, and you may feel free to type any question you have in the chat box. And that waits for a few minutes. Okay, I see there is a question for Marcus in the chat room. Is asking, do you have option for career business operation like Career One, as he did not see any identity on the map?
Okay, thanks, Sherry, and hi, Stephen. Just to clarify, by options for Korea business operation, are you referring to making payments to Korea? If that's the case, we can facilitate, yes, we can facilitate transfers to Korea. Receiving Korean won, no, at this moment, we don't support receiving Korean won. Yes, but you can pay to Korea. And I believe Korean, Yes, companies incorporated in Korea, they are able to open an account with us as well. The local credit card to be used locally. Yeah, our cards can be used locally and globally, but not in Korean won. Our cards are multi-currency, covering 10 different currencies, but unfortunately, Korean won is not one of those just yet. We do support US dollars, Hong Kong dollars, the major currencies. On the roadmap, yes, I'm sure it's on the roadmap, but I'll have to get back to you on that. Thanks, Stephen.
Okay. Okay, seems some of you may still thinking about your question. Maybe let me ask first, as I'm something curious. Like I would like to ask Marcus, what's the main difference between traditional bank and air wallets? As I know it's quite different, but to you, what is the main difference, the biggest difference?
Right. Okay. And to answer this question, I'm going to be as impartial as I can, to be as objective as I can. So I'll start with talking about the things that the traditional banks can offer, but we don't. So one of them being check payments. So I know that a lot of businesses, they still write and send checks and they receive checks, but we don't support that. We are more digital first, so everything has to take place online, 24/7. You get access to your accounts. So that's one of the biggest differences. And I guess the second being that, with a bank account, with the traditional bank, what you usually get is a standalone bank account. And there's only so much that you can do with your bank account, receiving money, sending money. But, as I've kind of shown in my presentation, with AirWallex, you actually get access to a network of banks and services. So, which we find to be exactly what most of our clients need, and our product roadmap are also tailored around our clients' needs. So yeah, hopefully that answered the question.
Okay, thank you. Great. I think opening a digital business account is really an option, as the most important things we concern is to pay and receive money, and I think it's really worth to try. And I have a question for Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hey, hello. Yes. Question.
Now the trend of accounting is going from traditional way to cloud, and do you think, I think it's also many question to people's mind, like, do you think will it then goes completely automation in one day?
Okay, it's a good question. Yeah, I would like to see that day come. Yeah, I think it take a bit of time. Yeah, I think personally, I think it will take another couple of years. I think that should be some sort of standard, meaning that how we categorize the expenses, how we categorize the revenue, and how it tied to the account standard, so that when the transition happen, how that's actually a one-step sort of like a pass-through for the booking. I think that will be amazing. And also I think like the blockchain technology may play a part to that as well. So how the blockchain actually is a decentralized ledger, and how the world is adopting the blockchain technology, or how the blockchain technology can help to record all these financial transactions, this data, and then it will go to the relevant sort of software and depository to record the information. So let's say maybe AirWallex eventually further down the road, whenever there's a transaction being done, is recorded in the blockchain, and then it's a matter of how, let's say, Xero will then capture or put through these blockchain transaction into the accounting ledger. So yes, that will be that would be great. Because I think for these for accounting, I mean, for us as accountant, what we would like to see is really spending more time to advise the client instead of like, doing the number crunching and inputting the data. So really want everything like come into place quickly, seamlessly, and then we really look at the analysis, and then we can walk through our client to look at the margin, to look at the business plan. I think that will be really from an advisor, from an accountant, would like to see. Okay, and I can see a question about how more work and complicated is accounting for using traditional bank and virtual bank in parallel. I think both are essentially the same. Not every bank and not every virtual bank or fintech, they are created equally, right? But there's an open API, which the data should be able to sort of like, pass from one system to another system using a standard sort of mapping. So let's say for Air Wallets, I mean, this is, as seamless as people using a traditional bank for doing accounting. So yes, there shouldn't be much difference. Thank you. Yep. So, Cherry?
Okay, thank you, Alex. And to my thought, indeed, I think we still cannot take off the manpower, as it's really quite important to monitor and ensure all the things are on the right track. And I think cloud is the way to simplify the whole process. And yes. And okay, and I also have a question for Crystal, and I would like to know what is the difference between WhatsApp Business and WhatsApp Business API, and do I need an online store to able to sell things on WhatsApp?
Yep, definitely. So for WhatsApp Business and WhatsApp Business API, there's two different things. So WhatsApp and WhatsApp Business actually exists as an app from the App Store that you can actually download and you can start using to talk to your friends, talk to your businesses, talk to your colleagues, and maybe, I guess, your customers. So for WhatsApp, I mean, we're all very familiar with how it works, right? But for WhatsApp Business, the app itself, it has a bit more business functionalities. You can add labels. You can also send automatic replies, but it's only a one-layer automation that you can do. On the WhatsApp Business API, now that's something that doesn't have a front end. That means it's not something that you can actually get off anywhere. You probably have to use a software to be able to use this API. So that's where SickFlow actually comes in. So how is this different from the WhatsApp Business app? Why can't I just use the WhatsApp Business app, since it can also label, it can also has automations? But as I mentioned earlier, the automations are very limited. They can only send, hi, it's off office hours, I can reply you tomorrow. That's the level of automation that WhatsApp Business app can send. But for WhatsApp Business API, you can do many more things. You can route to different people. You can send many different qualifying questions. You can even have WhatsApp buttons. You can have WhatsApp drop-down lists. You can do many different things. They can also integrate with your existing platforms. For example, if you use like Salesforce, HubSpot, Shopify, Magento, all these different things, you can Instagram, Facebook, combine all these different parts. That's what the WhatsApp Business API can do. Following on with the question on whether or not you can actually use the maybe WhatsApp and to make payments or everything, even don't have a physical store, that's possible. So I think like what Joanna mentioned earlier, sorry. Yeah, so Joanna has an IG shop, right? So yeah, that's actually something we can do on WhatsApp as well. So we can link to your IG shop. We can actually send payment links straight away, and then they can also pay on WhatsApp and get the conversation going, buy the product and everything else as well. So you don't need a physical store. You don't even need to have a Shopify store. Just whatever social media platforms that you guys are on, we're here to help you sell better. So that's kind of like how SickFlow can help all these businesses, no matter big or small, to sell better on socials.
Understood. Then, what do you think? How do I link my online and offline selling strategies better? Yeah, to you. What's your thoughts? May I know?
Yep, definitely. So for us, what we have been seeing a lot of clients do is they have been having like cross redemptions. For example, Bossini is one of them, where they actually are able to kind of like link the online coupon to an offline redemption. That's one. The next thing with online and offline we see very often is people being able to scan a QR code and continue the conversation. So maybe they're at a bus stop, they see this advertisement with a QR code. They're like, oh, I might want to buy that, but I'm not near any of the stores yet, or I don't have time to go today. They can scan a QR code and then start a conversation, and we can even just buy it on there. So, it's kind of like online to offline as well. So I think what we do, we actually bridge these two pretty well. And we're very happy to actually help many people more do that.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for first letting me know more about WhatsApp, though I'm using it a lot, but I'm just chatting with my friend, and I wouldn't know the difference and version without your sharing. And also, I guess what you taught just now, how to link the online and offline strategy would be very useful for some people who are doing online business or some only offline business, and it really make the business more easier. And I have one last question for Marcus. And may I know, I know when we're opening a bank account, we need to do the KYC process. May I know what's the KYC process in Airwallex like? Like some of the traditional banks may take a very long process for this. And how about Airwallex?
Right. Thanks, Sherry. So in terms of the documents that we need, they're quite similar to the requirements of the banks. I guess the main difference is, how we handle those documents and the processing time. So for us, everything happens online. Only digital copies are ever needed. So you don't need to submit the hard copies to us or mail them over to us. Whereas for traditional banks, there's definitely an offline element involved. And for us, let's say, for example, we're working with a lot of startups, and really we're talking about newly incorporated companies, and which usually have a lower commercial value to banks and fintechs. But for us, we are actually very focused on serving this segment of clients. So even though they may not necessarily have all the business proof from the get-go, we can look at their, let's say, their website, if they have one, if they have like a LinkedIn page, they have a business plan or cash flow forecast, we can also consider those as part of the application. So we take a more flexible approach to the KYC.
Yeah, thank you. I think if some new corporate want to open the account quickly, I think they could consider Airwallex, the digital business account, and it really lowered the barrier for having an account to do payment or do receive money. And I think this comes to the end of the webinar, and maybe we can end early a bit. And I think it was the quickest 1 and 50 minutes I've ever spent, and it was so wonderful time to have all of you either as a speaker or audience. And I hope that you could take away some new ideas and new thoughts regarding the webinar. And for sure, let's look forward for our another collaboration in the future. And remember to follow our social media, and you will find the most update event or blog or some promotion over there. And that's all of today. And thank you.
Thank you, Cherry. Thank you, Crystal, and everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.